Each and every dress, although it starts with me, it ends up in the hands of a costume maker. And although I call each of these dresses my babies, and I know them sort of inside and out, they don't belong to me as soon as they leave my cutting table. They belong to the specialists that actually make them.
If you're making something as a costume and you don't like something, there's an old theory, you can always put a bow on it and it's fine. But there was nowhere to hide anything, so it took a longer time.
It's also hard to gauge the hours because, for example, with the embellishment, we had 7 or 9 people working on it. And so you start adding up. It may have been in embellishment for 3 days, but you add up all of those hours from the individual people, and then the hours stack up and up and up.
My name is Sarah Blackmore. I am the milliner on Bridgerton Series 3.
My name's Lottie Fenby, also a milliner. Just helping Sarah make all of these lovely things for the head.
Initially, the veil was a kind of more of a longer 50s or 60s veil, but as the gown developed and the train on the dress developed, it became a longer, more kind of impactful veil. Stephen had made this fantastic train at the back. It had to fall against that without kind of catching, and as you move, we didn't want it to kind of like creep up the veiling that was underneath. John really had this idea that if it was shot from above or from behind, that it should fill the aisle and be really long. You have to kind of find out what the floor's going to be like, just so that if there's anything that's going to catch on the way.
Like if it's on a carpet, for example, that obviously is quite different to a stone floor in terms of how the fabric moves across the texture. It's sort of lovely and fluffy, basically, is what you want, as opposed to sort of thin and measly looking.
Yeah.
Full, yeah. Yes.
And then we passed it over to Maria's team, the embellishers.
I'm Maria Elena Gomez Patiño, and I am the head of department of the embellishment department on Bridgerton season 3. We focus more on making magic, as everyone says, because we take some of the dresses that they bring us and we start to try to put our magic on it with different techniques as well. Penelope's wedding dress was special for the occasion, very romantic. We made hundreds of roses, so made of tulle, in the hem of the skirt and even the veil. We create tiny little sweet detail on the sleeve as well that was fluffy and very delicate. We spent kind of 150 hours of work in that dress. It was so much work. Every single petal, every single flower was beaded with pearls and crystals as well. So it was a big job on that. We got very lucky that we work with so much talented people here. It was already special, but we add like the salt and pepper of something. So the magic, we call it magic, but it's like give it a soul, a heart to the dress when we put embellishment.
And we had to think about the practicality. So the first time we see the dress, it's walking through that amazing chapel in Greenwich, and you've got light coming down from either side. So where the train kicks out at the back, we wanted to be able to have the light coming through the train.
A lot of our clothing for the show is for one scene and it's over. The wedding dress was obviously for the wedding ceremony, but then it had to work 4 or 5 days in a row at the reception afterwards. There was dancing, there was dialogue, there was talking, there was it did a lot of things.
So normally when you get married, your dress is on the floor. So to stop the hem of your dress getting dirty, we put a cloth out. But the easiest way to move around set is by having 2 holes. So you put your feet through and then you hook up your dress. Genius, right?
How you use this is to put your feet in the holes, hold this bit, make sure you're wearing real stylish shoes, and then get your 3 beautiful assistants to tuck your dress in. Here we go. Yeah. And then you walk very slowly. Here comes the bride. So I'm about to get married for the first time. Hello. I'm really nervous. It's been 3 years leading up to this point. It's quite surreal.
A little wiggle at the tongue.
We met back in 2019 and we were like, oh yeah, one day it's going to be their love story, but it's mad to be at the point of their wedding. It's crazy. But it was emotional and I found it really overwhelming being the bride. Very overwhelming. I was like very emotional. Luke was also weirdly emotional. Like he was getting teary.
Look at you.
Just threw this on. Hi. You can... Hi. How you doing?
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
I'm really nervous. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I like this.
It's a bit, I'm a
Kind
bit
of
casual at the moment.
I got them to make me a ring with a bee on it. At the altar, I was like, ugh. I had to go and hide in my little tent because I was like, everyone's looking at me and I can't take it. But it was quite good because I thought Penelope would be shitting herself. Penelope would be terrified, and I feel terrified. But every time I was like, this is really emotional. This is really intense.
It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it?
Isn't it?
While they were filming that for the 2-3 days that everyone was there, you know, there was this sense of, it's actually a wedding.
Yeah.
It's, you know, that whole kind of emotional investment that you usually get at a wedding. Yeah. Everyone was feeling it.
Because everybody has got so much invested in that moment, in that take. You hope everything's going to be okay. But you can guarantee there's always going to be something, which is why we have a dressing team. We have principal wardrobe on set. We have people in so many different departments that take our babies and they take them on to the next chapter and they look after them.
When we see her at the reception, you can't do the dance that she was doing with a train that long. So we had to think about how can we actually make it functional for a dance when she's pirouetting.
So we cut it off.
So we cut it off.
So
we,
it was not just cut off.
but we also had a way of lifting it up as well.
There
So it's a combination. We had to use tricks in order for it to be a practical thing.
So Nicola was very nervous about treading on the skirt. So actually the version that is behind me now is the altered version that we made for her to dance in. So it's been trimmed back on the sides and the train has been lifted up out of the way.
And then what you see on screen is an amalgamation of everybody's passion all locked into one person, and it just explodes because without the costume, the hair, the makeup, without all the embellishment, without all of those departments coming together that are managed by supervisors, coordinators, assistants, the costumiers, this doesn't work, this whole process doesn't work, which means that Nicola can't deliver. So unless everybody kind of comes together to create these masterpieces, we actually don't give Nicola what she needs to perform.
It's one of the nicest things about working on this show is how much everybody cares. And that for me is the dream because we're incredibly privileged to get to work in this industry in any capacity. Like firstly, you have to be good enough to get in. Then you have to be good enough to get the good job into the next good job. There's so many points at which it's not going to happen for you. So to get to a point where you're doing what you love, I always think people should be so grateful. And on this show, you will find 99% of people are those people that cannot believe their luck. And there's such love and passion. Every single garment that you see has had that same care and attention put into it. And they work just at such an insanely high level. With the wedding dress, it was like that was their baby. So I was wearing it, I think, in total for like a week and a half. But we were like so careful with it to like not let it touch anything, let no one touch it. Like someone nearly stood in the train once. I was like, don't stand on the train! Like, I'm not gonna be probably as protective over my own wedding dress as I was over this dress.